when I start positioning, I start by figuring out which containers or which divs do I need on the page. You can see this big gray one holds everything inside of it. There are also a lot of other colored bigger divs that have different colors. One has blue, red, yellow, and different ones have different items in them. So I always figure out which ones I need, and then I go over and I code them, and I actually put them in the same color so I can actually see my page take shape. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put div id equals container, and then I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to close up my container. Now, the container div is a div that holds everything inside of it. You can see it opens right after my body tag, and it closes right before my closing body tag. And this div is the div that has everything in it, and we can use it to center the page, and we can use it to kind of restrict the size of the page. So almost every page has some kind of container. Different people call it different things. They call it wrapper. I like to call it container because it reminds me that it contains everything in the page. So again, div id equals quotes container unquotes, and then a caret, and then again my closing tag is caret slash div caret, and it's right before my slash body. Okay, good. So I've made that container. Now immediately when I've made a container, I like to go to my CSS and style it. So I'm going to go ahead to my CSS over here, and I'm going to style it. And so I'm going to say pound container. That's how you style a div. Right, sorry. Open closing brackets. And then I'm going to do two things, and this is important. I'm going to give it a color, a background color, so I can see it, and then I'm going to give it a width. So those two things are important. Background dash color. And I'm going to pick this one to be gray so it matches my document. And then I'm going to give it a width of 1024 or 1024 pixels because that's the general width of a page. So now I'm going to do it, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to preview it. And there you have it. There's my page. So I have that one box, and you can see everything is inside that box, which is what I was looking for. Okay, so the next one I was going to make was this next box is this blue box. And sometimes it's called a header box because it has your header items in it. It's not an H1, but sometimes we just call that div header. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but I'm going to go ahead and call it header. So I'm going to go ahead, and here we go. I'm going to say div id equals header. And then when I open it, here's my opening right inside the container. And then I'm going to close it after it has all the stuff in it that it needs to. So mine has a logo, which I haven't put in yet. But then it also has these links. So I'm going to close it right after those links because I don't want anything else in this blue box. So over here, I'm going to say pound slash header. And slash header, again, is my closing, what am I saying? Slash div, again, is my closing tag. So I have div id equals header, and then here I have slash div. I'm sorry for the misspeak. That closes up my header. So you can see it opens and closes. And then immediately, again, I'm going to go over my Project 2 CSS, and I'm going to type in pound header. And again, I'm going to give it a width. Now this one can have a similar width. It can have 1024 because it's going to be the entire width of my page. So 1024, and then I'm going to give it a background color of blue. Or you can type in blue, or you can actually go ahead and pick a blue. Now when you type in blue, it's only for right now. It's only for positioning. Obviously you're going to change the colors later, but it's helpful to have the color so you can see if it actually worked. And I can see there is that div, and it's doing exactly what it needs to do. It needs to be at the top of my page, and it needs to hold these items. So perfect, okay? So the next one I'm going to code is a red one, right here, and it's going to have all my filters in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one on my page. Let's go ahead and do that. So, and I may call it filters because it has all my filters in it. So let's go back to the source code. I need to find that information. Over here are my filters. So I'm going to go ahead, right before my filters start, I'm going to say div ID equals quotes filters, right, end quotes. And then inside of there, I have all these brands and styles and prices and colors. And then after that stuff is in there, right, that's all I want in there, I'm going to close my div by saying /div, right? Now, some people have asked me, how does it know which one it's closing? It's closing up the last one that was opened. So because the last one that was open was filters, that's how I know it's my closing tag. Okay, now all this other gunk is here, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to copy, I'm going to take it away, and I'm going to paste it underneath this div because I know in my diagram that the red div is what comes next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, as soon as I'm done with it, I'm going to go ahead and come over here and I'm going to make my filter. I'm going to select, I'm not going to make, I'm going to select and style my filter div. And so I'm going to give it a width. This time it's not the entire size, so maybe I'm going to give it 300 pixels. And I'm going to give it a background dash color of red because I want to match, again, I want to try to match the colors that are in my diagram. I'm going to preview it. And why is it not there? Let's see. Fill with background color. Pound filter. Ah, this happens to a lot of you guys. I called it I called it filters, and over here I called it filter. I gotta make sure I change that back to filters. It happens, you can see it happens to all of us. If I go over here, it should work. So there we go. Now we have that next box. We have that red box. You can see maybe it's a little bit big for my filters, maybe it's not. But you can see that's sort of how you start making boxes.